The stutter penalty has two key components. Number one, as the player approaches the ball, he will have his head raised to watch the goalkeeper, not the ball. Number two, the player slows down towards the end of his run-up in an attempt to force the goalkeeper to begin his dive. Penalties. The most simple set piece in football. Simply run up to the ball and shoot it towards the corner. At least that is how it used to be. In modern day football, we see a variety of techniques. The classic pick your corner before the run up and smash it home. The stutter penalty, where the striker watches the goalkeeper during his run up. The jump penalty. Who remembers this classic moment? The question is, which technique is best? If you want to convert penalties as frequently as possible, which method should you use? Let's analyse. First up, we have the classic technique. Pick a corner before your run up and shoot the ball powerfully in that direction. Simple. In this category, we have arguably the best penalty taker of all time, Matt Tissier. With a record of 47 goals from 48 penalties, Tissier knows a thing or two about converting from the 12-yard spot. Other proponents of this technique include the Premier League's all-time top scorer, Alan Shearer, Ricky Lambert, Harry Kane, and many more great penalty takers, too many unfortunately to cover in this video. Arguably the greatest strength of this technique is in steadying the nerves of a player. As the penalty taker has decided which corner to aim at before he begins his run-up, he has no need to second guess himself. He is able to simply take a pre-planned shot. For the nervous penalty takers, this is a big advantage. Because the striker decides where to aim before his run-up, he has no ability to adjust his direction based on the goalkeeper's body position. As we'll see shortly, this ability to change the shot direction at the last moment can be very effective if the goalkeeper dives too early. The stutter penalty has two key components. Number one, as the player approaches the ball, he will have his head raised to watch the goalkeeper, not the ball. Number two, the player slows down towards the end of his run-up in an attempt to force the goalkeeper to begin his dive. The player will see the goalie beginning to shift his body weight left or right and simply angle his foot in the opposite direction at the last second. As the player watches the goalie begin to move left or right, he knows that the entire other side of the goal will be free, meaning there is no need to strike the ball with power or risk placing it near the corner. If the goalie doesn't shift his body weight before the penalty taker shoots, the taker must guess a direction. If he is able to place it near-ish to the corner, he is likely to score anyway, as the goalie won't be able to dive as far after his delay. But if the penalty taker's last second choice isn't decisive enough, he may give the goalkeeper an easy save. Skill level must also be considered. In the Premier League, goalies often begin diving early as it is their only hope of reaching the corner in time. In lower divisions though, strikers are less likely to find the corner on a frequent basis, so the goalie may instead stay still for longer, meaning this penalty technique may be less effective. I'd like to take a quick moment to welcome you to The 12th Man, a channel dedicated to the tactics of football. I'll keep it short. Like the video if you want to help me with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe for future videos like this. Let's get back to it. The jump penalty, made famous by the likes of Jorginho, Bruno Fernandes and Joseph Martinez, is very similar to the stutter penalty. The player begins his run-up, takes a leap into the air and raises his head to watch the goalkeeper. As the goalkeeper begins shifting his body weight, the striker will pass the ball into the opposite side of the goal. As this technique is very similar to the stutter penalty, these strengths and weaknesses are also similar. The only addition is that the jump adds more complexity to this technique, but also creates more time at the end of the run-up to watch the goalkeeper begin his dive. To decide which penalty technique is best, let's look at the numbers. As we can see, 3 of the top 4 records come from players with the classic technique. This seems somewhat surprising. Why bother learning a more complex technique when the classic method already works best? The answer could be because of goalkeeper research. In modern day football, goalkeepers and their coaching staff research opposing penalty takers thoroughly in an attempt to guess which direction they will shoot. It is interesting to note that all of the players with the classic technique that fared best are older, while the younger players appear to rank lower in our table. Is this an indication that the classic technique worked best in an era before such thorough goalkeeper research and is now less effective in the modern game? Perhaps. But what is most clear is that any technique can fare well if a player is well practiced and strikes the ball with confidence. If you're trying to decide which method of penalty is best for you, consider the strengths and weaknesses of each technique mentioned in this video and ask yourself honestly, which are you most well suited to? Hit the like button if you'd like to help me out with YouTube's algorithm, and subscribe for future videos just like this. Before you go, check out these videos on the screen now that I am sure you'll love.